This is José Salvador Alvarenga, and he survived 438 days at sea with nothing. The year is 2012, and José, originally from El Salvador, had been working in Costa Azul, Mexico for about a decade. A highly skilled deep-sea fisherman, he was preparing for his next fishing excursion, but needed a new partner since his usual companion was sick. He found a young, inexperienced fisherman named Ezequiel Córdoba, who agreed to join him. Together, they set out into the Pacific Ocean to begin their work. For 2 days, they fished relentlessly, hauling in over 1,000 pounds of fish, enough for about a week's pay. Satisfied with their catch, they turned back toward land to sell their haul, when they noticed a massive storm brewing on the horizon. José pushed the engine to full speed, trying to outrun the storm, but it was too late. The boat was caught in violent winds and towering waves. Water poured into the boat, and both fishermen frantically bailed it out with buckets. When the storm finally gave them a brief break, José rushed to restart the engine, but it wouldn't turn on. As they assessed their situation, they noticed another, even stronger portion of the storm heading their way. José, realizing they were still near land, grabbed his walkie-talkie and called a friend to send a rescue party. His friend answered and asked for their GPS coordinates. José reached for his GPS device, but it was dead, likely damaged by the storm. He urgently told his friend to send help anyway and prepared to endure the next wave of chaos. Then, the real storm hit. The boat was tossed around like a rag doll, battered by waves as high as 3 stories tall. Realizing the weight of their massive catch was making things worse, they threw their entire 1,000-pound haul back into the sea to keep the boat afloat. The storm raged for hours, and the men kept bailing water non-stop. José tried his radio again, but it was destroyed. He tried the engine again, but it was dead. Frustration turned into rage. José hurled his GPS and radio into the ocean. Then, in fury, he grabbed a wooden club and smashed the engine to pieces. Back on land, a rescue party was finally put together, but despite days of searching, there was no sign of José and Ezequiel. They had vanished into the open ocean. After 5 grueling days, the storm finally passed. But when the men looked around, they saw nothing but endless ocean. They had no idea where they were. With no food or water, they were forced to get creative. José learned to catch fish with his bare hands, leaving them in the water until a fish swam close enough to grab. They survived on raw fish, turtles, and jellyfish. Occasionally, a seagull would land on the boat and they would catch and eat it. With no fresh water, they drank turtle blood and even their own urine. Weeks passed, and finally, rain came. They collected buckets of fresh water, which sustained them for a while. But the ordeal was taking a toll on Ezequiel. The young fisherman grew depressed, unable to eat any more raw fish or jellyfish. He refused to eat altogether. José saw his condition worsening. One night, Ezequiel told José that he didn't think he could hold on much longer. He asked José to deliver a message to his mother if he didn't survive. José promised he would. A few weeks later, José woke up to devastating silence. Ezequiel was dead, a victim of starvation. Heartbroken, José spoke to his friend's body for 6 days, unable to accept reality. Then, he knew he had to let go. He gave Ezequiel a burial at sea, placing his body in the ocean with as much respect as he could. Months passed. José continued surviving the same way, catching fish, drinking rainwater, and avoiding sharks. Several times, massive cargo ships passed close by. José screamed, waved frantically, and tried everything to get their attention, but they never saw him. Then, after 10 more months alone, something changed. One day, a bird he had never seen before landed on his boat. It wasn't a seabird, it was a land bird. Then, on the horizon, he spotted something incredible, a tiny sliver of land. Determined, he grabbed his knife, jumped into the ocean, and started swimming. Exhausted, barely alive, he crawled onto the beach. A local couple saw him and rushed to help. But when José tried to speak, they couldn't understand him. He had no idea where he was. After 438 days and 6,000 miles adrift, José had washed up in Aban Atoll, a remote island in the Marshall Islands. 1 month later, he finally returned to Mexico, and he had one last thing to do. He traveled to Ezequiel's hometown, searching for his mother to deliver the final message his friend had left behind.